want to give you 5 things to consider when choosing an email service provider. So the first one is, how much automation and segmentation will you do? And so what I mean by this is some of them, most of them allow you to do some version of this, some more than others. Do you plan on having a lot of automated emails, right? Where someone signs up and they get a welcome email and then they get another email 2 weeks later and they get this one, or they click a particular link, which triggers a sequence of other emails. And there's a lot of things you can do with automation, from very simple to just sending a welcome email to way more complex. How much segmentation are you going to do? Meaning, do you want to be able to tag different people in your list and say, oh, this person signed up on this form, this person signed up at this conference, and now I can send people different things. This person clicked this link, so I only want to send the people that click this link or open this email or bought. The more automation and segmentation you want to do, the more you want to go with a provider like a ConvertKit, providers that are a little more geared towards marketing, right? One of the reasons you hear a lot about people using like Substack, for example, Substack doesn't really allow you to do much, if any, automation or segmentation. It's for the sort of very kind of beginner. I'm not going to do any of that marketing, automation, segmentation stuff anyway. I just want to essentially publish a thing and have it be emailed to people. That's one of the reasons why you see Substack. If you want automation and segmentation, it doesn't make sense to go with a Substack. If you don't care about it, then maybe Substack's fine for you. So that's the first question to consider. The second one is, what's your budget? So various platforms charge various amounts of money, and you can compare. This is where it also gets into how big is your list? How many emails are you going to send? Again, most have a free tier, but it's a second consideration. There are some people with big lists who use Substack because it's basically free. And so they figure, okay, I don't get the automation, I don't get the segmentation, but if I hosted this somewhere else, I'd have to pay a bunch of money every month. It's a trade-off. I'd rather not pay the money and have less features. That's something to consider. The third thing to consider when choosing an email provider is, do you want or need a recommendations network? So what I mean by this, and this is something new that has developed over the past couple of years, you may notice when you sign up to people's newsletters, a lot of times you'll get like a pop-up that says, oh, this newsletter also recommends these others. So that's what people call it, different things, but it's basically a recommendations network. ConvertKit calls theirs the creator network. Beehive, it's Beehive Boost. Substack recommendations, but they're all basically the same thing. And they came around a couple of years ago, and they can be very effective. It's basically like an easy way to do cross promotions with people. Now, it only works if you get people to promote you and you can promote them and whatever. But the nice thing is, once you set it up, it runs automatically. And every time someone gets subscribers, they're recommending you, and you might get some of them. It's powerful. It's helpful. It's useful. It's a good tool for growing your list. It's also maybe a little overrated, because I think a lot of people don't realize they're signing up for those. The quality of subscriber you get, it can vary widely. That said, it's a great feature. And so if that is something that you like the idea of and want to try, then you're going to want to pick a platform that has that. So for example, I don't believe MailChimp has that. Substack has Substack recommendations, but you can only recommend other Substacks, right? ConvertKit's creator network, you can only recommend other ConvertKit. So there's pros and cons within there. There's also a tool called SparkLoop, which is, it's owned by ConvertKit now, but it's basically a third-party tool that does the same thing across multiple. So you don't just have to be in one of those platforms. It works with different email service providers and probably works with MailChimp. Not 100% sure, but probably does. So that's, again, another thing that you want to consider about how important is a recommendations option or network to you. The other thing that I would say about that is most of those also now have paid recommendations within them, which do two things. Number one, it means you can pay for people to recommend you and pay per subscriber you get. Also, you can get paid for recommending other people. So so in general, I would say again, most of the sort of big platforms have a recommendations network. In general, it's probably a good idea if you care about growth, because you can either free or paid or potentially make some money. Like, you're not going to get huge overnight, but it gives you a sort of another tool you can use to grow. The fourth thing to consider when choosing an email service provider is, do you want to offer a paid version of your newsletter? So some people want either the whole newsletter to be paid or they want some issues to be for paid subscribers. This gets into business model. There's no right or wrong. My whole newsletter is free. But if that's something that you plan on doing, you might want to pick a platform that is built for that. Again, most of the big ones, ConvertKit, you can do that. Substack, you can do that. Beehive, you can do that. At this point, most of these platforms do most of these things. I don't believe MailChimp does that. I'm not sure, but it's something you want to consider. If you're going to go that route, you want to make sure you choose an email service provider that makes it easy to do that. And then the fifth thing to consider when choosing an email service provider is, do you want a platform that can help bring you sponsors? So in your case, probably not. But if you have a newsletter that you think you're going to have a big enough list and you'd like sponsorships, some of these platforms, depending on the size of your newsletter, have ad networks where they will actually sell ads for you and bring you sponsors. So I sell a lot myself, but I also get some from ConvertKit. I'd say a couple a month maybe that they actually sell for me, and we do a revenue share and et cetera. Beehive has an ad network as well. Substack does not, I don't think. So again, if sponsorship is a part of what you want to do and you like, but you're going to have a big enough list and you like the idea of that, that's something else to consider that might influence your decision.